Hello and welcome to Empires of Today. I am your host, Rafa Riasa. We've got our four topics stacked up, starting with a possible peace deal with Iran, followed by the SPLC indictment. After that, we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming trial of Nicolás Maduro. And finally, we'll be finishing off with some situations coming out of the 2026 World Cup. So let's just get right into it with Iran. As you might have heard, there is a possible peace deal in the works. They have signed, both sides apparently have signed a memorandum of understanding, which in essence is just preliminary to an actual peace deal. It's essentially stating we're going to work together to actually finalize a real and lasting deal. Now, the IRGC has not fully confirmed that this is actually happening, but the fact is that there were strikes planned on a number of Iranian locations, including energy infrastructure, including military infrastructure, that the Trump administration did cancel. Considering that and the fact that oil does seem to be coming down a little bit, looks like we might be actually nearing the tail end of this. I wouldn't be surprised to see prices drastically dropping, considering that they have been at least reasonably stable at about $1 over what was common, $1.50 over what was common before this war started. So we'll just have to wait and see. The fact is the Iranians can only hold on so long. Looks like we do have security over the strait, and it looks like at this point there could be some sort of deal actually in the works. We'll have to wait and see. As far as the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, they have been indicted with over 11 counts of wire fraud, of bank fraud, and situations where they were actually funding leaders and operatives of both the KKK and the Nazi Party of America. Why they would be doing this? Well, their defense states that it was in order to get information, to get intelligence, which would be used to inhibit or diminish the power of these groups. Fact is what they did was essentially the opposite. They empowered them with money. This is an organization that has been around for well over 50 years, identifying a variety of hate groups, typically on the conservative right, which according to them, have been fomenting hate and division and racism. At this point, it seems like they've been doing exactly that. There's even evidence that they've provided money specifically for materials to use in cross burnings, giving money to leaders for whatever they need. I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars. This SPLC has a $734 million endowment, and they're pretty much the main watchdog for the left. At this point, I don't really see much defense that they could possibly have for their actions. Followed by that, let's get right into the trial of Maduro. So this is about 9 days away. Keep in mind that Nicolás Maduro was captured by U.S. forces and brought to the United States. He is currently in prison, facing a number of charges. So the fact is he's trying to use the same defense that Noriega used just a couple decades ago, where he is claiming that the U.S. illegally captured him, that he was kidnapped, and that his position as of head of state essentially bars him from having to face this trial. Now, of course, he's been around for a long time. He took power of Venezuela back in 2011 when Hugo Chavez died of cancer, who was the leader of the Socialist Party at the time. Since then, Venezuela essentially became a full on narco state. So it is something to take note of. I had mentioned a couple days ago that the Venezuelan government was communist. I would like to clarify they are indeed socialist. They are a socialist dictatorship, which does allow for a certain amount of private business. But the fact is they've committed a number of voting fraud situations throughout their elections. They've subjugated their people in a variety of ways and pretty much driven everybody out of the country. So here's to hoping that justice is served in 9 days, and hopefully this will lead to an actual real development of Venezuela as a democratic and peaceful nation, which they were for a very long time. Now, finally, we have some situations coming out of the 2026 World Cup. Though it is being co hosted by three countries, that is Mexico, the United States, and Canada, the United States is essentially barring a number of people from actually coming and taking part in the games. This obviously includes anybody supporting the Iran team, aside from the Iranian team itself, which is still being allowed to play. But they've essentially banned anybody who's just coming in trying to support the team as a fan. On top of that, the Trump administration apparently banned the top African referee. He had been voted number one African referee. He is from Somalia. His name is Omar Atam. And he was actually banned apparently for some connections that he has with some terrorist organizations or a couple people that, are essentially in the crosshairs of the United States government. Now, this isn't the greatest look. The optics of this are really bad considering the Trump administration and the fact that the left is continuously pointing fingers at it, calling it racist, saying that they are being unfair with their immigration policy. I don't really see what kind of security we get from not allowing this individual to actually come and do his job. If anything, the fact that it made headline news is just to show that strategically, tactically, this was simply not a great look. How about let's let Omar actually do his job, come to the United States, and then go back to Somalia just like everybody else who's coming, taking part in the games. Well, that's all we've got for today. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.